many people made from Mount Sinai? Some say 20% of Am Yisrael, some say 1% or less. As far as number,
13 million Jews.
best case the worst case scenario is 3 million. Worst case scenario is 3 million. 3 million survived. Worst, which means 12 million did not. 12 million were killed. Best case scenario, I'm saying the best case scenario is 3 million survived, 12 million were killed. That's 80%. On the other hand, the Me'am Loez Midrash says it's not that. It's actually 3 million survived and 300 million died.
Yeah, that's big spread.
99% died. 99% died. So either way, we see
back it up with 300 million.
300 million. We went over this, but we have it in Parashat Beshalach. Parashat Beshalach says the following. ויהי בשלח פרעה את העם ולא נחם אלוהים דרך ארץ פלישתים כי קרוב הוא כי אמר אלוהים פן ינחם העם לראותם מלחמה ושבו מצרימה. ויסב אלוהים את העם דרך המדבר ים סוף וחמושים עלו בני ישראל מארץ מצרים. So it says Vayihi, it happened. It means it happened when Paro sent out the people that God did not lead them by way of the land of the Philistines. Because it was near, for God said, perhaps the people will reconsider when they see war, and they will return to Egypt. So God turned the people towards the way of the wilderness, to the Sea of Reeds. And the children of Israel were armed when they went up from Egypt. So the Sfat HaKodesh has certain secrets within it. First and foremost, the Chachamim say that any time the parasha starts with the word Vayihi, which means it happened, there's also another word that it could start with. But if it starts with the word Vayihi, it's symbolic of negative news, of sadness. As if you're saying Vai Vai. Vai Vai mean like Oy Vey. So it says what happened when Am Yisrael, when Paro sent out the people of Israel. So why is Am Yisrael sad if Paro sent them out? So it says because most of them died. Most of them died. How much is most of them? So how do we know this? Now when it says V'chamushim alu al bnei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim, it says and children of Israel were armed when they went up from Egypt. The word chamushim is translated, there's two translations. One means armed, means being armed, meaning they had weapons. But the other translation, that's more common translation, that's accepted by the Chachamim, by Rashi, by Rambam, by Ramban, by the Gemara, and everywhere else, is that it doesn't mean chamushim, doesn't mean that they were armed, it means a certain number. Certain number. Now Rashi says it means chamushim, meaning 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5, meaning 1/5, 20%. 20%. Now, there are chachamim that say, no, it's not 20%, it's less. It's much less. And I'll show it to you in a second. I have it here, written somewhere as a note. Rabbi Nehorai, Midrash Tanchuma, says the following. He says, Alvai. Alvai meaning I wish that 1 out of 500, that the Chamushim means 1 out of 500 actually left Egypt. But we all know that not even 1 out of 5,000 left. And these were the best of them, of the generation of a people that were all erom. Erom meaning they were all naked. What do you mean naked? Naked of mitzvot. He says, I wish it was 1 out of 500, but it wasn't even 1 out of 5,000. It wasn't even 1 out of 5,000, meaning 2 people out of every 10,000 people. Better said, 20 people out of every 100,000. 200 people out of every million. Now the Midrash Me'am Loeh says, Alvai was 1 out of 500,000. It wasn't even 1 out of 500,000. Not out of 1 out of 5,000, 1 out of 500,000 it wasn't. Midrash Me'am Loeh is, look at Parashat Beshalach. You see it. So why all of the translation of the one word chamushim? Chamushim, some say it's 1 out of 5. That's the nicest estimate. But the most harsh and most difficult is 1 out of 500,000. I say the following. It doesn't matter. Whether Hashem killed 80% or 99.9% of Bnei Israel is irrelevant. Either way we realize it's a horrible number. Either way we realize that Hashem lamabul yashav. Hashem sat down as the mabul was happening. Hashem sat down as Am Yisrael did not want to do tshuva in Egypt. And He destroyed them. Why? He doesn't need us. The same thing. If the Mashiach comes, for all those say, wait, you're telling me that only the religious people are going to be saved when Mashiach comes? Yes! And even that's a safek. Why? Because some people look religious, but they're not really religious.